Okay, I think we have everyone on board. So, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone. I know it's early, but I really appreciate everyone for jumping on this morning. And I am very excited to introduce you to Chris Allen from Sound Qubed. He will also be at our show, and he was at our show last year. Maybe you had a chance to meet him. But he's also going to be back at our show this year. But without further ado, Chris Allen with Sound Cubed.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody again on a Monday morning. I know it's busy. And appreciate you guys taking time to learn more about the product and about the brand. We got a lot of cool things that are coming all the time, always, and we always want to make sure we can give you guys an opportunity to learn. I just have my catalog here that you can see on our screen that we're going to go through, but I love to make this interactive. So you'll see me looking left here because I got my screen on my other side open, trying to look at any of the chat stuff if you guys want to use, or if you got any questions, just please chime in because I don't want to ever go so fast that I don't give somebody an opportunity to ask a question. So any questions you guys have, the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. So please ask me any questions at all. I'll give you a quick overview who I am. Again, as he said, Chris Allen. I'm the owner of Sound Cubed. I'm also one of the owners of Limitless Lithium. So we have both brands and just been in the 12 volt space 30 years and started as a hobbyist and then started Limitless and then purchased Sound Cubed a number of years ago and are just continuing to grow the brands and am started as a bass head first and just love audio. So, with that being said, I'm just going to jump into some amplifiers first. So, again, stop me with questions, guys, because I want to make sure that I can answer everything for you. So, we got Dave Gill here too. He's muted, but Dave's our national sales manager, so he's on the line too. If you guys want to hear about a crazy Cajun, he's here. So, um, anyway, let me jump into our amplifiers. We have a wide array of amplifiers. I'm going to scroll back up here because this thing's a little slow, so I'm going to go slow to not overwhelm it. We have four series of amplifiers. F series is full bridge class D. S series is our street series, more of our lower power entry level series. Our BG is our compact series, our micro amps that work for real good for motorcycles, real compact applications. And then our Q series is our big boy Korean half bridge, monster amps go up to 10,000 watts nominal. And like our Q110K, for example, will get over 15,000 watts out of that amplifier in certain applications. So we have four lines of amps that cover really the full gamut from an entry level. I need best bang for the buck while still being reliable on up to the biggest baddest competition amps on the street. So I'll start with the first in the F series. Um, Again, our F series, we have two 4 channels in our F series, F4 1600, F4 4400. And these are rated power. It's rated. We do rated power. One thing that we pride ourselves on at SoundCubed is not. Oh, there's no fluff numbers. If my amp says that it does 1600 watts at 2 ohms, it does 1600 watts or better. These amps, some manufacturers like to put funny money out there, funny numbers. We do not. So you can trust that any of our amplifiers do their rated or better. Generally, we try to be 10% overrated in your average application so that there's never a time you're going to not do it. So don't. I also caution people because if they're used to working with some brands that overrate them, like so many do out there, and they want to go bigger because they think that it's going to have some efficiency loss. Um,
Now, unfortunately, when Panamax discontinued the MD 850 or the SUF, there.
oh, I thought that was Andy talking to us. um, so just keep in mind that our amps do rated power. So when you're looking at them, you can trust that you're going to get every penny you paid for when it comes to that power. The F series is really our full range money series. It's become our most popular line amongst all the amplifiers because you can get so much bang for your buck. Very few applications actually have 4,400 watts on a 4 channel. We're one of the few manufacturers that really offer that much power in a 4 channel if you need something that big. Um, and then you go down to the 3,000, 5,000, and 7,500. Those are all just monster, very small. If you look at how small they is, like the 3K, 9 by 8 by 2.28, it's a really small amplifier. So it fits anywhere and does a really great job for all of your smaller applications, even being big power. And then our S series. These are really dealer focused, look great because all the back plates are plexiglass, and they're really designed to have that lower power application, just a 100 by 4, 800 by 4, 1250 by 4, excuse me, 1250 by 1, 850 by 1. You pair that with some of our HDB subs or our HDS2 subs, and these are great entry level, bulletproof, all stock electrical, just literally come in 110, 112, 212s in a trunk kind of setup, and they are awesome for that. Our S4100 is great for taking some of our HDX coaxials or 4 Pro audio speakers, depending on someone's choice. We have, and you'll see it later down, is the coaxials and the Pro audio. That S4100 has just become a staple for us for a lot of shops to have, a nice 4 speaker upgrade with power, and then also the same thing with the 850 and the 1250. So if you like the entry level low power applications where you don't have to add any batteries, don't have to do any additional electrical, the S series is where it's at. We have our S1 2500 also. Frankly, the F1 3000 has pushed the S1 2500 a bit to the back of the bus, just because the F1 3000 is about half the size and is a little bit cheaper, so you get a little more power for the money. So when you're talking the big power applications, the S1 2500 is an amazing amp in that S series line and has the plexi backplate, but the F1 3000 is actually probably the more sought after amplifier today for that power range. But we have the S1 2500 is still a great model, and does really good for us. But so that's the S series. Let me get down to the BG series. These might be my favorite amps because they're so small. If you look at how tiny this thing is, 8 by 3 by 1.7, that's the BG4 700, right? So it is a tiny little amplifier that is very, very powerful. And then our BG1 750, that BG1 750 has become probably our most popular amp for the single sub applications. You can do a HDB 210 loaded enclosure or a single 12 loaded enclosure. Some of our HDS2 series speakers in a single sub application, because the amp is so small, being 9.5 by 4 by 1.7. Your grocery getters and your soccer moms that want to have a single sub in the back after they drop their kids off, this amp just goes in a side panel somewhere as a mono amp. And that BG4 700 and BG4 1400 has become a really popular 4 channel in the bagger world. If you go on Facebook and ever see it, there's multiple bikes that line our 4 channels up like this around the front of the fairing. And there's a guy in Wisconsin that has 5 of those BG4 1400s all lined up under the fairing of his welterweight bike. They fit really good being that small. If you see this 9.92 by 3.8 by 1.7, they can really be hidden in a bunch of places. So they're an awesome amp for either that entry level high D amp in a Tahoe, people don't want to see it, or in the bagger world. And then the Q series. The Q series is our Korean flagship. Q1 4000, Q4 2000, Q4 3200, and then we have for the big monos a 4500, 6K, 8K, and our big 10K. So these are all, again, plexi backplate, top of the line, compact Korean. They're the smallest Korean platform for the power. So they're not the surfboards like some of these other big amps you see in the market. They're much smaller. Like if you compare our 8K to like a JP83 or something, we're about 4 inches shorter than one of those JP83s. So it's a whole different Korean platform that is a compact Korean. One thing about our amps is they're actually 18 volt stable too. So somebody wants to charge high voltage, you can charge these things. You can use a charging system all the way up to 18 volts, and get every bit of power. That's when our ratings are all rated at 14.4. But if somebody wants to run high voltage on these things, that's where you can get really almost double rated power out of them in a high voltage application. So most of you guys probably aren't doing massive big car audio builds in that sense, but it's a great offering to say that we have that ability to charge high voltage if somebody wants to. So I'm kind of running fast because we have a lot of SKUs, but I wanted to pause. This is my amplifiers. Does anybody have any specific questions in regards to the amps? Because I would love to answer any questions that you might have. I haven't seen
Just
any
one for
comments.
me is the Bagger series. Is there any IP rating on those, or has there ever been an issue with that?
It's the amps are not sealed because of cooling, but they are the boards are coated. So all of the boards are coated in the BG series. So you can't submerge them underwater,
But a
but if they're in an
splash would be
environment where
okay.
there's moisture, they're protected from corrosion and things like that. So not submersible, but they are protected from corrosion.
Gotcha.
So I mean, these bagger guys got these things hanging out under fairings and all kinds of stuff. So they are definitely great when it comes to moist environments. A lot of boats too. People tuck them up in different spots on boats, and they work really good.
I got
Uh,
a question regarding the BG series.
mhm.
Now you say it's supposed to be the compact. Can I fit that in a Riker?
Yes, up in the front.
Yes.
Yes, they fit. I know the 704 fits because I was actually just at a shop that had it up there. I haven't physically seen the 1400 in the front, but I think the 1400 will also fit in the front of a Riker too.
Okay, because we've been doing a lot of Rikers recently where they want to add on the speakers and everything, and of course, you and I both know there's no room inside that Riker whatsoever.
Yeah, yep, 100%. It's a Yeah, so that for sure will fit. And a lot of the guy at the shop I was at the other day, he was running a pair of pods that he mounted to the side, took the round brackets off like you put on a side by side, and he mounted them flush to the tight, and then used the factory locations. And he used a BG4 700 to power the 6.5s in the pods with some tweeters on the back of them, and then the factory 4 or 4.5 or 5.25, whatever those are in that factory radio. And he used the 704 to power it. It worked great, fit easy. Um, So, any other questions, guys? I know I ran through them really fast, but I want to make sure I can answer any questions for you.
So, Chris, on that BG, know if there's any warranties,
Is there what?
the warranty issue with it getting wet. You said the board is coated, right?
The board is coated, yeah. Like I haven't had a single one come back failed from corrosion or any type of problems in that sense. I mean, if you submerge it underwater, it would be
Yeah.
a problem, right? So if it's like in a side by side and they sink it, then
Yep.
yeah, that's not ideal. But if you're in a regular moist environment, you're not going to have a problem with any sort of corrosion or anything in that amplifier because the board's coated. So
Uh,
so
right.
we
I was
haven't had a
just
single
curious.
we haven't had a single failure or warranty related to that. So
Yep. Thank you.
part of that amp
Chris,
too is it was
oh,
cooling. I don't have a picture of the bottom of it on here, but part of one thing that's really unique about the BG series is it's actually a four-sided heat sink. I need to grab one actually. I'll get somebody to bring me one. But the both sides and top, like a normal amplifier, are a heat sink, but we also have a heat sink on the bottom because the problem with compact amplifiers is always heat. It's always how do we keep them cool and how do we have them not going in protect mode. We actually changed the bottom plate instead of from being a flat steel plate to actually an aluminum heatsink style plate so that if the amp is inverted, it will dissipate heat and not overheat. So that's one of the things that I think really helped this amp become a stand out above the rest because we also never have a problem with them shutting off and going into protect from heat because it's four-sided heatsink for four-sided heat dissipation.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Yep. So any other questions, guys? If not, I'll move on to our next category here. Just want to make sure. All right, cool. Our preloaded and amplified enclosures. So we have a really good combination of everything you could possibly need for your preloaded stuff. We have preloaded and amplified, right? And then we have just preloaded enclosures. So our HDB2, and I'd love some input as to what you guys would like to see because I'm actually working with a local box manufacturer here in Atlanta that is going to be building us some different applications for this. I'm working on an under seat box for trucks with forward facing 6.5s and 8s that'll be built here in the U.S. that will load in our facility here in Georgia. and all kinds of different preloaded applications. But these are what are in stock and available today. We have our single 10 ported enclosure that's a really nice enclosure, single 12, dual 10, dual 12 that all have our HDB subs loaded in them. So great entry level, doesn't need a ton of power, works great on the BG1 750, the S1 850, and the S1 1250. All four of these enclosure options work great on those amps and don't need additional electrical or anything like that. So they're a great setup to have on the floor to be cost effective and really give somebody great value for a entry level trunk banger setup. And then for those that want to have it all in one where it's even amplified and everything, we have four different amplified enclosures, which are really awesome. This wedge enclosure that you can either downfire in a SUV or you can put behind the seat of a truck, and it is really small, so it fits behind the seat of a lot of trucks, even standard cab trucks, and it can fire out the rear or under the seat of a pickup truck, something like that, down firing. And the amp and everything's built right into the side of it. So it works out really good and really easy to just throw this in and not have to require a bunch of power. We have the wedge and then just the straight down fire in tens. And then we have a wedge and a down fire in a 12. So you see that it gives you both options all the way around. That looks really nice. And they are, for the price especially, they're really a great value, great banger. They're actually insanely loud for what they are. So um, that's our amplified and preloaded enclosures. Um, I don't want to skip over these too fast. Anybody have any questions about maybe the amplified ones especially, or anything I can answer?
Now, do all those come with bass knobs and everything as well? Or
Yes, the
do you
ones that
have
are
to put,
amplified, they do, yes.
okay, cool, thanks.
Just a basic, it doesn't have voltage or anything like that, just a basic gain control up and down so people can turn it up and down.
Can you flush those knobs into the dash, or are they built into the case?
No, you can pop the back off and take the potentiometer knob out,
Sweet.
drill a hole, and you got to get a little creative if you do it, depending on where you're going to put it. But yeah, you can definitely pull it out of the little case.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And then with our on the bass knob side, our S and Q series come with an entry level bass knob. Our BG and F series, we actually have a bass knob you can add after the fact, and it's a really nice bass knob that actually has voltage, temperature, everything on that bass knob. That is a really nice bass knob. It's our SK1 bass knob, and it's not expensive. It's like retail, it's like 30 something dollars. And dealer cost is half that. It's one of the 50-point pieces, so it's a really good bass knob that gives somebody way more control over the F series and the BG series. That is a really nice knob. I'll show it down in the accessories down at the bottom of the list here.
On the loaded enclosure, does it have a high-low input and auto turn on?
Yes.
Does it have any load resistance built in?
No. You'll see I can't scroll in on it, but you can see the little white plug is the high level input. It just has a little plug with 4 wires sticking out of it for the high level input.
Chris, it looks like we had somebody asking about start stop. Back to the amps, they said start stop safe. I guess like with the Ford, with the start stop on it, would shut off or does it stay on? Do you know?
Oh, as far as no, because it starts off like with the engines, as long as the power, as long as voltage is there, the amps operate down to 10 volts. So none of our amps, unless somebody happens to be beating on a 5K or something, as long as you got the right battery setup, then the start stop won't affect any of that. And
Thank you.
Ryan, when you're talking about heat buildup, as far as the BG series is concerned, which is the only one I'd ever really have an issue with, is our compact. That's why it's four-sided heatsink. I see your comments now, Ryan. I got comments up on my other screen. We don't really have any overheating or temperature problems with our amplifiers. Frankly, it's very few amps that we even have go bad, unless somebody just completely doesn't give it the battery bank that it needs. Our failure rate on our amplifiers is like minuscule. I mean, I had a guy wire a 10K at 0.33 without enough voltage, and it didn't like it, and we had to fix that. Like, besides just crazy applications like that, our amps really are just really darn bulletproof. Our amplifier line and our subwoofers are really what we're known for and what we're the strongest in and what we have the best quality and offering in. I mean, all of our pro audio and speakers are all great, but ultimately we are a woofer and amplifier company, and we try really hard to make them awesome. All right, any question on the loaded enclosures, guys? If not, I'll run down to the subwoofers so we can talk about them because there's a lot to talk about with our subs. We are really proud of our subs. Starting at our entry level line, we brought in the HDB line because a lot of guys wanted to have that entry level 400 800 watt speaker. This is our only speaker that is a stamped steel basket. It is just to give you something to sit on the floor that is a real true entry level product that is still going to be reliable and follow the Sound Qubed mantra of reliable, loud for a good price. It's our only 2-inch voice coil woofer, and we have them in both a D2, D4. It's just a good entry level product for you to put in. After the HDB series, we go straight to our HDS2s, and that's when you start seeing all of our cast baskets, and you start getting into really what we're known for, which is just a top quality every application you could possibly need. We have our HDS 2 6.5s, HDS 2 8s, and actually this I haven't updated the book yet. Our new 8s are actually HDS 2 3s. So the ones that are out now are HDS 2 3s, and they're actually 700 watt RMS and 1400 peak. They're monster 8-inch speakers. Everybody that's ran our 8s under seats just love them to death. So they've been really, really great applications for everybody in the 6.5s and the 8s. How many are any of you guys doing 6.5s under truck seats, or is everybody doing 8s? What's the mix, if I was going to ask you guys, of what you're doing, like in under seat boxes or different applications when it comes to 6.5s and 8s?
We honestly do mostly 8s over here.
Really? Do you have to do seat lifts morally, Joe, or are you fitting them and just letting them hang out the front a little bit?
We usually do out the front. No lifts really.
No lifts, just let it stick out a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. I got some shops that do really good running like 6.5s versus 4.8s because you can fit 6.5s. The 6.5s generally we've seen as being louder than the 4.8s. But then you got more motor force and cost becomes a thing for sure. So I'm working on a prototype box that I think is really interesting. That's 2 6.5s that would only come in one side, and it really is about the same size as one of those Downfire 10 boxes. But the 2 6.5s forward facing, really small with an amp on the back, ends up being louder than a single 10 by like a lot in a little ported box that goes under one side of the seat. So I don't know. I was gauging to see if anybody would ever be willing to try something like that because it's so small and it's just ridiculously loud for what it is.
I would be interested in trying that in one of our customers' vehicles.
Do you guys have customers asking for only a sub that takes up one side so they keep part of their underseat storage, or if they come in, are they generally looking to just lose the whole underseat?
A lot. It's a 50-50 split. We do a lot of
50-50.
custom enclosures.
Yeah. So if somebody had a preloaded one that only took up half of it, it could be a seller.
100%.
Okay. Cool. That's good input. I appreciate it.
Just had a phone call right before this meeting
Oh, about that?
about it. We got one side and a Ford F-150.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think that's something that we're going to really work hard on trying to have 2 6.5s, or maybe even 3 6.5s, or 2 8s that would just take up half of the seat. That can be still a low power application and not require a battery, so that somebody can keep some underseat storage. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going down through our HDS series. Our HDS2s, again, the nomenclature, so you guys understand, HDS heavy duty street series. We have 2 levels of the HDS as a street series. The 2 is the voice coil size. So 2 means it's either a 2.5 or a 2. Like in the 6.5, it's obviously a 2-inch coil. In 8 through 15, it's all a 2.5-inch voice coil. So that's the difference between HDS2 and HDS3. And then the dash, like where you see 0.2 and 0.3, that's the series number. So as we upgrade a woofer, if you see HDS 2.3, it means it's the 2-inch voice coil or 2.5-inch voice coil 3rd revision. And that's what the nomenclature is for our woofer. So we try to keep it real simple. S being Street Series, X being Extreme Series. And then be on the lookout for those who might remember Sound Qube's history. There used to be an HDC series, which was heavy duty competition series. That may or may not be coming back up. I'll give you guys a little segue into that. We're doing some really cool US assembled subs where we're looking to bring back the HDCs here real soon too. So HDS2, again, 2.5 inch voice coil, Street Series. You're good, entry level, everyday banger that is just a monster woofer. Again, the line covers all the way up. We actually, in this book showing HDS 215s, I'm actually going to move away from those. I got a few on closeout if anybody's really a big 15 mover, but we're going to stop the HDS 2 series from 6.5s to 12 and then let HDS 3 pick up on 15s. And then the HDS 3 series is exactly what it said, 3-inch voice coil, bigger power handling, bigger output. Obviously, the subwoofer gets a little bit bigger. But it's still the Street Series. It's still cost effective. It's not as it doesn't require as much power as our HDX3. One question we get sometimes is, okay, what is the difference between HDS3, Street Series 3-inch voice coil, and an HDX3, which is the next line down? So the HDX3, while it's a 3-inch voice coil, I'm going to get down to it here and just show you guys the difference. HDX3 versus HDS3. HDS is a 3-inch voice coil, but it's a 4-layer copper coil, where the HDX3 is an 8-layer flat wound aluminum coil. So the power handling and the coil quality and the difference in the coil in the HDX is a much different coil. It may be the same size, but it's a much beefier 8-layer flat wound coil over a 4-layer copper coil. So the difference in the coil is night and day difference. The motor structure is bigger. It's a deeper basket. It's just all around a much bigger 3-inch voice coil woofer that handles twice the power of an HDS3. I always think of the HDS series, whether it be 2.5-inch coil or 3-inch coil, as your good mid-tier, everyday banger that somebody wants to come in and beat down the block or be the loudest at their high school or be the loudest in town. If you're going to go up to the HDX series, whether it be HDX 3s or 4s, this is where you're getting into somebody who's a real bass head, who understands they got to have the power behind it, the voltage behind it. You're not going to power a set of HDX 310s or 12s with less than a 4,000 or 5,000 watt amp, right? Our 4,500 watt is perfect on a pair of the 10s or a pair of the 12s. Our Q1 4500 or our F1 5K. Can't do that without backup and without additional electrical. So that's where I just tell shops to think of it that way. HDB, HDS, your everyday setups. People are going to walk in 212s, 210s in a trunk kind of setup. Your HDX is where you're getting into your competition side of things. Our HDB and HDS, from a warranty perspective, are a field destroy. We have recones for them if you want to recone them, but for the most part on the warranty side, it's a field destroyed woofer, and we credit or give you a new one. The HDX3s and HDX4s are recone only, so they're too expensive of a woofer to just put in the trash. And we have recones for those if we deal with it. Again, it's a very small thing where we have any sort of failure, but if you do have it, that's the other difference between the HDSs and the HDXs is if you blow an HDX up, it needs to be reconed. An HDS, we can authorize a field destroy for you guys. So HDX 3.2s, you see all the way up. And again, this is my 2025 catalog. I haven't finished the 2026 yet. The HDX 3.210s are out also. So we have HDX 3.2s all the way top to bottom from 10 to 18s. Now is what's in stock. And you all see our custom tool basket with our logo stamped in them. They're really, really nice. And then our HDX4s, our big monsters. They only come in 12, 15, and 18. And they are just the flagship woofer that are still priced attainably for your everyday bass head. It's going to give you a 4-inch voice coil, 4,000 watt speaker that doesn't cost you $1,200 like a ZV6 or something like that. These speakers are all very cost effective while just giving you output that will hang with any big boy woofer on the market from any of the big manufacturers. It's again, an 8-layer flat wound aluminum coil, coated, and they're monster woofers. If you guys have seen them at shows, any of you guys that go to Basshead stuff, they are the flagship. I don't have them in our catalog here, but we also do custom build stuff here in the US. We can make our team Neos, which we have a team 3-inch voice coil that is 6 pillars. We have a team 4-inch voice coil that's 12 pillars, and it's a custom Q-shaped motor that we build here in the US that are special order because there's powder coat and stuff like that. And those are $2,000 custom woofers. If somebody wants the baddest of the bad of the bad, we can build you something here that is just awesome. I don't put them in the catalog because it's something that we don't sell very often. But if you have an application like that, that would be a one-off thing that we would definitely help and build something really cool to fit a custom build. So again, let me pause here for a minute. I've said a lot. I'm halfway through my allotted hour time here, which I feel like I'm doing pretty good time-wise. Any questions about subs that I can help answer for you guys? Because we got a lot of them here, and I don't want to breeze over it. All right, going once, going twice. It's a bunch of subwoofer stuff. Again, if you guys got other questions, just hit me up. So I will move on down to our coaxial stuff. So we got a really good coaxial line. Obviously, that's a picture of our baddest, the bad coaxial 8 that we offer for the bike world. And then that's a pro coaxial, kind of a horn-loaded pro audio coaxial that we have that's selling really well for us. But starting off with a conventional, we keep all of our speakers and pro audio speakers following the same line of HDS and HDX. So think of HDS in our coaxial line, which we offer 4s, 5 1/4, 6 1/2, 6x9, 4x6s, all the offering of the sizes you need for any stock application. HDS is going to be the one that you use in non-amplified applications. Somebody comes in, they got a Toyota Camry, it's got some blown door speakers, boom, HDS is great. They're going to work great off the factory head unit and sound amazing, light years ahead of of anything that was in the car before from a factory application. They take enough power where if you want to throw like an S1, S4100 on them, you'll of course increase the performance immensely, giving them more power, but they don't need all that power to perform really well in a stock application. And then we have the same thing in an HDX line. So HDX, bigger power handling, just a much more robust speaker that, if somebody wants to come in and wants to put like an S4100 or a BG4 700 on them, and you can give them more power, then they're going to just be that much louder over a standard head unit power application. So the HDX coaxials are awesome. I mean, we offer them in every size. These little HDX 3.5s, they've been a big seller in like Dodge trucks, up in the dashes, and all the places where you want to build a real active 3-way setup. You throw these in the dash, and they just sound amazing. They're probably my favorite little speaker that we have, just because they're so versatile and they fit in so many different places to create your own little active 2-way or 3-way setup if it's something that you're into and your customers want. We also have component sets. So using these component sets, either the HDS or the HDX, with those little 3.5s, you can make a really cool, fully 3-way component set that way also. So you have an option to do that either way. So these HDS CP65s work great even on head unit pattern. So if you got somebody that's got a set of tweeters in a factory location and they want to fill those same holes with a new speaker setup but still keep the factory radio, that HDS CP65 is awesome for that. And then if you want to do amplified component setup, that's where the HDX comes into play. So it gives you a good opportunity to have something that can handle more power from like an S4100 from our amplifiers. Now I get down to tweeters, drivers, some of the pro audio stuff. Before I move on from any of the coaxial stuff, any questions on the coax stuff?
Yeah, I had a question. Are you planning on doing anything with a 3-inch and 4-inch Neo to cover like BMW and Mercedes
Beyond
for the
that,
future?
yeah, for the future, I am looking we're a company that wants to do anything that people thinks they can sell with some volume. So if you guys are seeing stuff like that, it's not an overnight thing because we don't order stuff off the shelf. Everything we get is tuned and tweaked to our liking and do what we want. But if there's something that there's some volume to be had with something, we would look at it.
I do a lot of 4-inch and 3-inch Neos by Bama and PRV, just because they cover my BMWs and Mercedes applications.
Gotcha. So it's straight 3-inch and straight 4-inch, but it's got to be shallow neo, I guess.
Correct, because there's steel right behind where the speakers actually mount, so there's no depth to it.
Gotcha. So I'm making a note now. So I'll look at doing. You're talking Benz BMW. Is it a coax or is it just a straight speaker?
The frequency response on the Bama and the PRV play up into the higher frequencies, so it's just a straight mid woofer, but plays up, geez, I think 1.5K.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, and that's like my little. Mine's 120 up to like literally it doesn't start falling off until like 13,000.
That's
But
why I
it's
brought it
Ferrite,
up.
so it won't
That
fit.
has a nice response to it.
Yeah.
So
So if I
slap a
get
Neo
something in
on
that
there,
response that's smaller, it would be a good seller for you.
I think it would be phenomenal, honestly.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's something I'll put on our board for to work on. So um any other questions, guys, before I move on to the next one? Or girls, I don't know if there's any ladies in here. If there is, I'm not excluding you, it's 2026. I gotta be politically correct. So if there's some ladies on here, I love you. All right, cool. Drivers and tweeters. Let's get down to this. Um, this little phenolic horn, it looks big in this picture, but it's actually really small. It's really like an overgrown tweeter. And it's got a phenolic diaphragm. It is absolutely amazing sounding for really a little horn. And it unscrews right here. A lot of our customers are using these, unscrewing the diaphragm. I mean, unscrewing the throat and just using the diaphragm and the motor in the back and using them like a little bullet tweeter because it's only like 1.5 inches that you can just put a regular screw on in the back. So these have become a really, really hot seller in the bike world because they're using them as a tweeter in the bike world without the throat. With the throat, it's a horn. Without the throat, it's a tweeter. Um, and it has become a really good seller for that application. And you don't have to put a bunch of power on them. People are putting 50 watts on them and they just sound amazing. And if you're familiar with the differences between titanium and phenolic and stuff like that, this little tiny phenolic horn is really hard to beat. And then for the guys that need the big boy stuff, obviously we have, our big 300 watt. I mean, you need to give this thing every bit of 200 or better. And you can give it 4, 5, 600 and really have this thing talking for a big, titanium driver. 2-inch voice coil, they're absolute monsters for the guys in the truck beds and all the applications that horns go. So it's a great speaker, but also still very short. It's not very long, so it can fit in the lower section of some custom doors and things of that nature. So it's a really great horn. Um, our tweeters, we have 4 tweeters that cover the gamut of just about everything. Our HTS, the 3.8-inch tweeter, 1-inch voice coil, 4 ohm, just a great tweeter all the way around, frequency range. My favorite tweeter, I don't know, I'm tossed up between the TW22 and the HDX PT1N. These 2 tweeters here are some of my favorites because that little dome tweeter, tiny little cutout, fits anywhere. It's just a great complementary tweeter, being the TW22. And then the PT1N is a Neo tweeter that is just flat out crazy loud. And then that combination in the middle of those two being our PT2N is a small Neo and it's got RGB lighting in it. So it's really cool if you got somebody that's got any lighting happening that has RGB lights built in with a little plug in the back that you can see that just wires straight up to whatever LEDs that are happening in the car if that's a thing. So it's a really cool tweeter also. And again, for the bike guys, it's been a big seller in the bike world because you can put those things anywhere. And then if somebody has lights on the bike, you can add that to it. It works really good. So our 4 tweeters offerings that we have are really kind of cover the whole gamut and just work really, really good. I breezed over the HDS a little bit, but that Q logo is actually really sick looking too. I love the way that we designed the machining on that to follow our logo. So Any questions on tweeters before I keep it rolling? All right, I'll keep it going down to Pro Audio speakers. That is a picture, and this is a good picture and a reflection of our HDC series. Right, the first time we've gone back to using our HDC nomenclature was with this speaker as we bring out an HTC line over time again, but it's a really shallow Neo competition mid that is just awesome. So I'll start with the HDS. We have a bunch of Pro Audio speakers to really fit every flavor across all of it. We have HDS again being Street Series, our lower power level, 6.5s with a bullet with a dust cap. Some people ask why you have both bullet and dust cap. For those of you that aren't real familiar with Pro Audio, a bullet is going to give you a louder speaker directly in front of you. It makes that speaker more directional, where your dust cap is going to give you more dispersion on the speaker and it won't be quite as loud. So they really serve a different application where if you need something that's just crazy loud right in front of your face with a smaller dispersion ratio, that's where the bullet's going to come into play. If you need something that is overall vocally loud, but it has more of a range to spread out and is not real directional, then that's where you use the dome cap. So we have both because people want to offer both in whatever they like to do. So these have a water resistant coating on them too, which is really good. And obviously not the bullets because water could get around the speaker, but all of our HDS mids have a water resistant coating on them. So if somebody wants to use them in a motorcycle or in a stunt wall in the back of a pickup truck, they don't have to worry about them getting wet. So they all have that water resistant coating on them. They're just great. And then what I mentioned up top are HTCs. These are really shallow. If you look at this 6.5, 1.97 inch mounting depth, it's really, really shallow. A lot of guys have been using these 6.5s in pickup truck doors. You get guys that are in a pickup truck, they don't want to build custom doors, but they want to throw as much bass as they can under the seat. And then the factory set of coaxials just won't keep up. You don't have to alter anything to run these HTC SLs in there because they're so slim and so small. You do these with some tweeters, and then you can actually keep up with the bass that you're putting under the seat of the car. So we have those in 6-inch and 8-inch, and they're just really, really, really shallow. Again, under 2 inches and then 2.4 inches on the 8s. They work really good. And a lot of the trucks that have 6x9s in their doors, you can actually cut them and plate those. And where a 6x9 was, you can get an 8 in there. A lot of shops we see doing that where they're trimming that with a plate. And because it's so deep, the 8 can just sit off the door a little bit and you don't have to even cut their door. You can just put a plate that makes the speaker stick off a little bit. It still fits behind the door panel. So they're really, really a good versatile application. And then you get down to our HDX Pro Audio. So obviously it follows the line of our subwoofers. You want big boy Pro Audio that is big power handling. That's our HDX 6.5s, 8s, 10s. They are top of the line. Will hang with all of the big boy audio stuff when it comes to loud Pro Audio. We have bullet and regular dome in the HDX. And then you get down to the bagger series stuff because a lot of the bagger guys like the Pro Audio, the coaxial, pro coaxials as we call them, our BGS series. It's really slim. If you still look at it, it's a 3-inch mounting depth on a 6.5 with a horn. So it comes with a grill on the front of it. We have those in 6.5s and 8s. The 8s, 4.25 mounting depth, which is really good. And then our BGX series, again, BGS is Street Series, X is the Extreme Series. Our 6.5s and our 8s on the BGXs are second to none. I don't call other manufacturers names, but if you know who is really, really good at building really awesomely great sounding loud Pro Audio, I modeled our speakers to go beat those guys, and we hang right there with them or beat them in a lot of applications. In the 8, for example, the actual voice coil on the driver is a 3-inch voice coil. The driver voice coil in my 8-inch BGX is a bigger voice coil than the voice coil in my big Neo horn. It is just an absolute beast of a speaker.
Hey Chris, how do the 6.5s fit in the fairings?
With a small amount of modification, they fit in most fairings. You have to just trim a little bit to not. It's just about getting like the terminals and stuff in. So they fit without spacers in there with a little bit of modifications inside that.
Okay,
inside
so
that front
behind the
fairing.
factory grill, they're fine as far as
Correct. They
that
will
horn
fit.
goes.
Yeah, the 6.5 will fit. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tight fit, but it does work with just a small amount of trimming inside there. A lot of guys are running those 6.5s. They'll put the 6.5s in the fairing, and then they'll run like some HDX or HDS 6x9s in the lids and run that off of like a 1404 because a rider bike with 4 speakers, they want to hear when you're riding down the road. You put a couple of our BGX 6.5s in the front fairing, the bag lids are almost irrelevant. I mean, you can almost do a 2 speaker setup with just 2 of the BGX 6.5s, and if a guy's going 70 miles an hour down the highway, he's going to hear those 6.5s in those drivers. And you can power those off of a BG4 700. And I recommend on the BGXs always buy amp them because the horns and the 8-inch mid range are obviously separate. Like you see the frequency range of 70 to 20K. That's not the speaker. That's the speaker and the horn together. So you cross that horn at around 1800 2K. You can even play it on lower power down to 1,000. But I tell people 1,500 or so on the horn portion of that speaker, and then run the mid down to 70, and with like a 12 dB hard slope on the bottom, and you will get an amazing sound out of just 2 6.5-inch speakers in that front fairing. And then if somebody has an aftermarket fairing and they have 8s, it's obviously even better. But they're a great option with a little bit of work to have just a really amazing 4 6 speaker setup. So that's the end of all the speakers, amps, all the nuts and bolts of everything. I got a little bit of stuff on accessories here that I was going to talk with you guys, but I want to make sure I answer any questions about the important stuff first when it comes to all the speakers and amps and everything. Any questions, you guys?
Chris, did we? I'm sorry, I didn't see. Did we go over like the 10-inch bag speakers on how you guys had to redesign the magnet and everything? And you
So
know,
that's on our Elite Sounds line, which is separate. I didn't have we didn't. It's really hard to include Limitless and Sound Qubed all in one training. So we have a separate Limitless / Elite Sounds training coming. So the
We have a
difference with
training
Elite,
on that next week, Bobby. It should be in
yep,
your inbox.
yep.
all right, sorry about
So
that.
for the guys who are bagger specific, you'll want to chime in next week when we're training on all of the Limitless batteries and then all of our Elite Sounds woofers. Elite Sounds is something that we are building our big ones actually here in the US, and it's a great line of bagger specific subwoofers. It's not this is car audio stuff on the woofer side. For the bike world, we've put it under a whole different family because we spent 2 years developing woofers that are specific for bags. Because as much as people want to do it, you take car audio woofers, you put them in a bag of a motorcycle, it's really hard to optimize that. So we have woofers that are designed for that. So, and that'll be something that we do next week.
What about the warranty on the bagger speakers when we put them in motorcycles? There is a chance that, the guy does get caught in the rain. What does the warranty go with that?
All the face of all of them is waterproof.
Okay, so we can put them in bikes and not have to worry about it. Okay, cool.
Correct. Yep.
All right.
So yeah, the training next week you'll see about it, but they're amazing. We have a little ES450 that is a really small neo woofer that only weighs about 8 pounds, and it has a frequency response of 45 up to 2K. So you can actually play that speaker like a real woofer, not just a subwoofer, and pick up some real vocal fill. So a 6 speaker setup with our 10-inch woofers in the bags gives you true vocal capabilities from all 6 speakers, not just putting subwoofers in the bags. And then we have an ES 1250 that is also a woofer that plays up to about 1,000. And then we have our big boy ES 3000s that are winning a lot of the competition world out there. If you want a big boy 3,000 watt, 4,000 watt woofer, we have those too. That are still some of the most shallow ones on the market. So, all right, cool. I'll scroll down through some of our accessories here. Our accessories are on the install knobs. This is that SK1 I was talking about that has temperature, voltmeter, everything on it. It's for the F and BG series. It's a great accessory knob. And then we have all of our line out converters. I actually, since I made this book, I have a Q-Lock 2 and a Q-Lock 6 Pro. So we have 3 different line out converters that work really good. Really cost effective for you guys for OEM integration. The Q-Lock 2 is just for adding a set of subs or adding whatever 2 channels you want. Obviously the Q-Lock 5, same thing, 5 channel out. And then the Q-Lock 6 Pro gives you a 6 channel, and it also includes a little bass knob with it. So you can buy one line out converter and have a little bass knob with it. Um, uh, Fuse holder, sound deadener, all of the standard accessories that we have across the board, different fuse holders across the board. It's a long list. And I'm going to be giving out catalogs of all of our products at the shows coming up in April. So we'll be at both events at Pittsburgh and in Philly, and we'll have information with all of the different stuff that we offer for accessories to help you guys get it installed properly. So big 3 upgrade kits, stuff like that.
You guys working on anything as far as the DSP goes?
Yes, I actually have 2 different prototypes that I'm really just about ready to approve. I'm just trying to finish up an amp line that I have that we're wrapping up right now that'll be coming in the spring, and then I'm moving on to our DSPs. But we'll have a entry level 8 channel DSP, and then top of the line 12 channel DSP.
Nice.
And I've been working on that for a year, working on making sure on the 12 channel especially that it has all the features that everybody asked for. That's the thing is making sure that on that I get the right recipe of all the stuff where you can name channels from the app instead of having to have your computer out to name the channels. All of the controls that you need will be incorporated in both of our DSPs. And I suspect that I can probably get the 8 channel done and have some here by summer, and then the 12 channel will be the end of the year.
Awesome.
All right, guys, any other questions? So I've been watching. We've had everywhere in the 20s in here off and on all the whole time. So I appreciate you guys taking time on a Monday morning to learn about the product, and anything we can do to help you guys. We'll be up there for both events, and that's a 3-week period. We have one of our demo Tahoes, 615 B pillar 4th order, big built doors, big setup that is going to be in the territory, coming around visiting dealers and showing off the product. So if you guys want to schedule a time to see one of our demo builds and come meet Mike Hall is one of our trainers that he'll be driving around showing off obviously the Sound Qubed product and the limitless batteries. He'll be driving the whole territory for that whole period between the shows. So let us know if you'd love to have a lunch day or something like that at your store. We'd be happy to come have the vehicle on display, and you can touch feel it yourself. Maybe we can do some pizzas, maybe try to get some customers in the doors to get some interest in the brand between that period of time. So get with your Davis salesman, and we can schedule that time between the 2 events in April to come do a day at your shop.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. When we brought Ground Pound up last year, I think it did really good. We were able to visit a bunch of shops with my Excursion. So now this will be a different flavor, not quite as extreme as my Excursion was, but still a really loud vehicle. It does, low 60s. It's still a really loud build. That'll be real impressive for everybody that comes by.
Look, if you haven't heard that ground pound, that thing's loud.
Yeah, that thing's crazy. It's just tough to tow. So now this one we have now is something we can drive. So we're going to drive it up to your show. It'll pull a little trailer. We'll load all of our stuff in, and then we can drive it around to the territory instead of me pulling a 40-foot trailer 3,500 miles.
It is definitely an attention getter.
All right, cool. Well, I think we got another show here in about 5 more minutes. So I guess if you guys have any questions, just jump back in on the next one. And I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you guys very much for coming.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
See you
Thank
guys.
you guys. Take
Thank
care.
Thank you.